The first laugh wasn't loud. It was polite. The kind people make when they're not sure if something is funny, but they don't want to look stiff. I remember that part clearly. The clink of a fork against a champagne glass. The faint smell of butter from the catering trays behind me. And my brother smiling like he'd been waiting his whole life to hold a microphone. "Before we toast the future," Christopher said, "I want to acknowledge someone who taught me what not to do with mine." That was the line. People shifted in their seats. I felt it before I understood it, like the room leaning slightly away from me. I was at table 17, not near the front, not exactly hidden either, just positioned. Close enough to hear the kitchen doors swing open and shut. My son Lucas was beside me, his hand warm and damp in mine. He was trying to sit still. He takes that very seriously. Being good. Christopher lifted his glass and finally looked at me. "My sister," he said. "There's something about hearing your name in a room full of people. It makes your spine go rigid, like you've been volunteered for something. My sister Julia has always been emotional," he continued. "She chooses feeling over stability." Some scattered laughter, a few heads turning toward me. I forced a smile. I don't even know why. Habit, I guess. He kept going. About choices, about consequences, about how every family has a cautionary tale. I knew then, not fully, but enough. "My name is Julia Whitmore, 34 years old. I work as an emergency room nurse in Stamford. I live in a rental townhouse with creaky floors and a backyard that's mostly dirt. I have a 6-year-old son who believes dinosaurs are still out there somewhere, just hiding. I used to believe things like that too." Christopher didn't say my divorce directly. He didn't have to. He talked about short-term decisions, about raising children without a long-term plan. He laughed lightly, like it was affectionate. The crowd followed. Lucas squeezed my hand harder. Then Christopher said, "I'm grateful tonight proves I chose differently. My son will grow up seeing what stability looks like." He doesn't have a son. But the implication was there, heavy, clear, from the head table. My mother leaned toward the microphone and added, "She means well. She just never planned properly." More laughter. Not everyone. But enough. Lucas tugged my sleeve, his voice barely above a whisper. "Why are they laughing at you?" "Mom." I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. And that was the moment everything tipped. Lucas was still gripping my sleeve when Christopher lifted his glass again. He always takes a pause before the next cut. He likes the silence to lean toward him. "You know," he said, smiling like this was generosity. "Julia and I had the same chances, same schools, same parents, same roof." My father nodded from the head table. Slow, affirming. "Some of us," Christopher continued, "just understood what those chances required." A few guests laughed. Soft, polite, testing the water. This didn't start in a ballroom. It started at our dining room table when Christopher got into Georgetown. My mother stood up with real champagne that night. "He carries the Whitmore name forward," she said. When I told them I'd been accepted into nursing school, my father folded his napkin neatly beside his plate. "That's respectable," he said. My mother added, "It's steady. Steady. Respectable. Safe. Not legacy." Back in the ballroom, Christopher paced once, controlled. "Structure matters," he said. "You don't build a future on impulse." He still hadn't looked at me. That made it worse. It meant I was an example, not a person. After my divorce, I sat at my parents' kitchen counter while my mother dried the same plate 3 times. "You chose him," she said. "I loved him." She didn't flinch. "Love isn't a retirement plan." My father kept reading the newspaper. "You'll live with the consequences," he said. In the ballroom, Christopher finally turned his head and met my eyes. "We all make decisions," he said smoothly. "But some decisions echo longer than others." Lucas pressed into my side. "Mom," he whispered, "is he mad at you?" No, I said quietly. He's performing. At the head table. My mother gave me that look. Calm. Directive. Don't interrupt the narrative. Christopher softened his voice, the way men do when they want to sound wise instead of cruel. Families need examples, he said, not cautionary tales. There it was. Clearer this time. He wasn't teasing. He was defining the blueprint. Golden sun, measured success, stability. And then me. The room stayed quiet long enough to agree. 2 weeks before the wedding, Madeline called. Her voice was calm, professional. The same tone I use when I'm about to tell someone something they won't like. Julia, I just want everything to feel seamless, she said. Seamless for who? A small pause. For the event. Christopher's firm will be there. Clients. Senior partners. It's important. I'm not planning to make a scene. I know, she said quickly. That's not what I mean. What do you mean neutral dress? Nothing bold. And maybe keep Lucas toward the back during the reception. Just in case. In case of what you know. Kids get restless. Lucas was 6. He had sat in emergency waiting rooms for 4 hours without complaining once. He's fine, I said. And I don't have childcare. I understand, she replied. We just need tonight to go smoothly. Later that week. My mother texted, table assignments are final. You'll be comfortable where you are. Comfortable meant distant. At the rehearsal dinner, I arrived early. I always do. It gives me something to manage. A glass to hold, a napkin to fold. Christopher was at the bar with 2 men from his firm. I'll keep it sharp, he was saying. Just enough to be honest. One of them laughed. Roasts always land. Christopher smiled. She won't push back. He saw me then. Didn't lower his voice. It's about perspective. He added, every family needs contrast. Contrast. I kept walking. Inside, my mother was arranging place cards. Julia, she said without looking up, please don't overreact tomorrow. To what Christopher's humor? Don't make it awkward. I wasn't planning to. She finally met my eyes. You've always been sensitive. Sensitive. Emotional. Difficult. Madeline approached us. Polite smile in place. It's going to be beautiful, she said. For who I asked. Her expression flickered. Just briefly. Let's just keep it elevated. She replied. On the way out. Lucas squeezed my hand. Are we in trouble? He asked. No, I said, but I could feel it. Not anger. Not yet. Just alignment. Like everyone had agreed on a version of the story. And I wasn't the one telling it. The ceremony was fine. Beautiful. If you care about that kind of thing. Wind off the water. The faint smell of salt and sunscreen from someone nearby. Christopher looked steady. Madeline looked careful. When the officiant said, Family, please come forward for photos. My mother turned to me. Immediate family first. She said, I am immediate family. We're keeping it tight. Christopher didn't look at me. He adjusted his cufflinks. Lucas tugged my hand. Are we not in the family? I crouched down. We are. We just wait our turn. There was no turn. We ended up at table 17, near the service corridor. Every time the door swung open, you could hear plates clatter and someone shout. Behind, I almost laughed at that. Behind, that's where I've always been. A woman in a navy dress sat across from me. I recognized her from some fundraiser years ago. You're Julia. Right, she said carefully. Yeah. She hesitated. You work at the hospital, I do. That's admirable. Admirable. Said like it was distant. Safe. At the head table. Christopher was making rounds. Firm handshake, firm smile. He stopped by our table briefly. Hey, he said. Hey. Everything good? We're fine. He glanced at Lucas. Big day. Huh. Lucas nodded. You look like a penguin. Christopher laughed. I'll take that. Then he leaned closer to me. Just don't take it personally later, he said quietly. Take what personally? The speech. It's light. You rehearsed it. It's tradition. You'll survive. Survive. He walked away before I could answer. Across the room, my mother was watching, not smiling, assessing. Madeline approached our table next. Thank you for coming, she said. I'm his sister. I replied. I know. Her eyes flicked toward Christopher, then back to me. Let's keep tonight. Elevated. Elevated from what she didn't answer. Just touched Christopher's arm when he passed and whispered something I couldn't hear. The music shifted. Glasses clinked again. Christopher stood, took the microphone. From table 17, the sound carried clear. No distortion, no echo. Lucas slid his hand into mine. Is this the part where we clap? He asked. Maybe, I said. Christopher cleared his throat. Before we toast the future, and I knew we weren't waiting our turn anymore. Christopher lifted his glass the way our father used to at Christmas, slow, deliberate, expecting silence. Before we toast the future, he said, I want to acknowledge someone who helped shape it. The room settled. My sister Julia. He let my name sit there. We grew up under the same roof. Same rules, same expectations. My father nodded again, subtle, but visible. Some of us, Christopher continued, understood what those expectations meant. A few guests chuckled. Not cruel? Not yet. Lucas leaned into me. What's he saying? Just listen, I whispered. Christopher took a step forward. Julia has always followed her heart, he said, and there's something admirable about that. That almost sounded kind, but heart without structure. He tilted his head. It's risky. There were more laughs now, a few louder ones, at a table near the dance floor. A man in a gray suit said quietly, That's a bit much. His wife nudged him to hush. Christopher kept going. She married for love, he said, not for stability. He didn't look at me when he said it. He looked at the partners from his firm. We all watched how that worked out. That landed differently. Lucas's hand tightened around mine. Christopher's tone softened, like he was offering wisdom. Choices echo, he said, and children deserve steadiness. Lucas stiffened. Christopher finally looked at him. Tonight, he continued. I'm grateful I chose long-term over impulse. My family will grow up seeing what commitment looks like. Madeline shifted in her chair. She wasn't smiling. Christopher raised his glass again. Every family needs an example, he said, and sometimes. A warning. That word hung in the air. From behind me, someone murmured, Christopher, but he pressed on. We all learn from each other. He added, some of us just provide the lesson. My mother leaned toward the microphone at the head table. She means well, Eleanor said lightly. Julia just always did things her own way. There was a ripple of approval from one corner of the room. A few nods. Not everyone was against him. Lucas tugged my sleeve. Why are they laughing at you? I couldn't find a simple answer. Christopher's eyes met mine now. Direct. You're strong. Jules, he said, almost gently. You survived your choices. Survived. As if that were the goal. A woman near the bar shook her head. This isn't right, she whispered to her companion, but others were smiling, uncomfortable and complicit. Christopher lowered his voice slightly. I just want my children, he said, to inherit something steadier. That was when Madeline stood. Not fast, not dramatic, just stood. Christopher, she said. He turned, still holding the glass. What? Her voice was calm. That's enough. He laughed, but it didn't reach his eyes. It's a toast? No, she said. It's not. The room didn't flip instantly. It hesitated. Christopher tried to brush it off. Relax. he said. We're family. Madeline stepped closer to him. He's 6, she said quietly, nodding toward Lucas. Christopher glanced at my son. He won't remember. He replied. That was the moment something in the room truly changed. Madeline reached for the microphone, and for the first time that night, Christopher's confidence faltered. Madeline didn't grab the microphone. She stood there for a moment first. You could see her thinking, measuring the room, measuring him. Christopher, she said quietly. He smiled at her like she was overreacting in private, not in front of 100 guests. Come on, he murmured. Sit down. She held her hand out. He hesitated longer this time. Then he passed her the microphone, still half smiling, like he could smooth this over. Madeline faced the room. Her voice wasn't sharp. It was steady. I work with children, she said. Most of you know that. A few nods. A few uncomfortable shifts. I spend my days helping them unlearn shame. Christopher laughed lightly. This isn't therapy. No, she said. It isn't. It's worse. That line rippled through the tables. My mother stood halfway. Madeline. Let's not. Madeline turned toward her. Please let me finish. That alone was new. No one interrupted Eleanor Whitmore. Christopher tried again. It was a joke. Madeline didn't look at him. She looked at Lucas. He's 6. The room quieted more deeply than before. Christopher's jaw tightened. He won't remember. Lucas pressed into my side. His fingers dug into my arm. Madeline inhaled slowly, like she was holding back more than anger. I've sat with 6-year-olds who remember things said once, she said. They carry it for decades. Someone at a back table muttered, She's right. Another voice answered. It was a wedding speech. The room wasn't unified now. It was split. Christopher's voice sharpened. You're making this dramatic. You made it public, she replied. He stepped closer to her. You're going to humiliate me over this. Madeline's face changed. Not rage, disappointment. You promised me you weren't going to use her. That word again. My father rose slowly from his chair. Christopher, he warned. Christopher turned to the crowd. Everyone, he said, spreading his hands. This is just sibling humor. Julia knows how we are. My mother nodded firmly. She's always been sensitive. I felt every eye on me again. Madeline looked directly at me. Do you feel like this is normal? She asked. Christopher snapped. Don't put her in the middle. You already did, she said. My throat felt tight. For a second I almost shook my head, almost played along. Instead, I heard myself say, No, it's not normal. The silence that followed was different. It wasn't awkward. It was heavy. Christopher stared at me like I'd stepped out of formation. You're exaggerating, he said. Madeline looked at him carefully. You said you wanted to build a stable family, she said. I do. Then don't start it with humiliation. His voice dropped lower. Dangerous. We'll talk later. No, she said. We won't. He reached for her arm. Not violent, but controlling. Stop, he said. She pulled back immediately. Don't. That small motion changed everything. You could see it? Several guests leaned forward. My father spoke again. Christopher. Let her speak. Madeline looked down at her hand. At the ring. She hesitated. Just for a breath. You're going to throw this away? Christopher asked. Softer now. Almost pleading. I'm trying to save something, she answered. Slowly. She slipped the ring off. The sound of metal against glass when she set it beside the cake knife was barely audible, but everyone heard it. You're serious, Christopher said. Yes. This is insane. No, she replied. What's insane is thinking power looks like this. A few guests stood. Not to leave, just to see better. Christopher turned in a slow circle, searching for support. Say something, he demanded. One of his firm partners finally spoke. Christopher. That wasn't necessary. That hurt him more than anything else. Lucas looked up at me. Are we in trouble? I knelt and took his face in my hands. No, I said. We're not. Behind me. Christopher's voice cracked for the first time. You're choosing her over me. Madeline didn't raise her voice. I'm choosing who I want to stand beside. And in that moment, for the first time, Christopher looked alone. For a second, no one moved. Not the servers, not the partners from Christopher's firm, not my mother. The ring sat on the white tablecloth beside the cake knife, small, ordinary, like it had nothing to do with anything. Christopher stared at it, then at Madeline. You're not serious, he said. I am. You're throwing away $200,000 over a joke. It wasn't a joke. He looked around again, searching for someone to laugh. No one did. My mother stepped forward, voice tight. Madeline, think carefully. I am... You're emotional, Christopher snapped. Madeline's eyes flicked to me for a second, then back to him. No, I'm paying attention. The videographer shifted his stance. The tiny red light was still blinking, still recording. I don't know why that detail sticks with me, but it does. Christopher lowered his voice, trying to contain it. We can fix this. I'll apologize. To who Madeline asked. He hesitated. To her, he said finally, nodding toward me. Madeline shook her head slightly. That's not the point. He stepped closer. You're making a scene. You made the scene. My father moved in now. Christopher, take control. There it was again. Control. Christopher ran a hand through his hair. Julia, he called out, like I was a witness he could summon. I was still kneeling in front of Lucas. What I said. Tell her it's fine. That one almost made me laugh. It's not fine, I replied. My mother's head snapped toward me. Don't escalate this. I didn't start it. Christopher's voice sharpened. You're enjoying this. No, I said. I'm not. Lucas looked up at me. Are we going home? Yes, I said. Behind me. Madeline spoke again. I asked you weeks ago not to use her. Christopher's face flushed. It was a toast. It was positioning. He swallowed. I was being honest. Honesty without empathy is cruelty. The room felt heavy. Not loud, just heavy. A man from Christopher's firm stepped closer to the edge of the dance floor, then stopped. He didn't say anything, just watched. Christopher tried one last time. You're choosing optics over family. Madeline answered quietly. I'm choosing values. That landed harder than anything else. He looked at the ring again. You'll regret this, he said. Maybe, she replied. She stepped back from him. Not dramatic. Just done. My mother reached for Christopher's arm. We can recover. From what? I wondered. The wedding or the image? Christopher turned toward me one more time. You couldn't just sit there, he said. I stood up slowly, Lucas's hand in mine. I did sit there, I answered. And that was the truth. The music never restarted. No one clapped. The script didn't come back together. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't the one holding it in place. 2 days later, my phone buzzed while I was charting between patients. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail. It rang again. I stepped into the supply closet to answer. This is Daniel, the man said. Madeline's cousin. I remembered him vaguely from the rehearsal dinner. Quiet. Watching. I shouldn't be calling, he continued. But I don't like how this played out. What do you mean? There's something you need to hear. A pause. I could hear him exhale. I helped set up the rehearsal dinner video. The mic was still live. My stomach tightened. He sent a file, audio, not video. I'm sorry, he said before hanging up. I pressed play. Christopher's voice came through clearly. "It'll land," he said. "She won't push back. She never does." A low laugh. I recognized one of his colleagues. My mother's voice followed, softer but distinct. "Keep it clever. Don't make yourself look cruel," Christopher answered, confident. I know exactly how to say it. The recording cut there. I stood in that narrow room for a long time, staring at the shelves of gauze and saline bags. It wasn't improvisation. It wasn't nerves. It wasn't champagne. It was rehearsal. My phone rang again. This time it was my mother. "Julia," she began without greeting. "We need to contain this. Contain what Madeline is being irrational. She's not. You know how your brother is. He didn't mean harm. He practiced it." Silence. Then, more sharply, "Where are you getting this?" I heard it. Christopher's voice came on the line. "You're twisting this," he said. "I didn't twist anything. It was private. You set it into a microphone. That doesn't make it malicious. It makes it intentional." He lowered his tone. "You've always had a chip on your shoulder." I almost smiled at that. Predictable. I didn't have to sabotage anything. I said, "You did the work yourself." There was breathing on the other end, then a click. They didn't apologize. They strategized. That was the difference. They came on a Sunday. I saw my mother's car before the knock. My body reacted before my mind did. Lucas looked up from the floor. "Grandma upstairs," I said gently. "Just for a minute." He studied my face, then went. He didn't argue. That hurt more than if he had. I opened the door. Eleanor walked in like this was still her house. My father followed, closing the door behind him. This has gone far enough. My mother said, "Hi," I answered. "Christopher wasn't with them. Your brother is humiliated." She continued, $200,000 lost. Deposits gone. His firm is questioning his judgment. I didn't cancel the wedding. You detonated it. I sat at my table. You didn't stop her. There it was. The expectation. My father spoke quietly. Madeline made her own choice. She was influenced, my mother snapped. By what I asked. By you. I almost smiled. She listened. She misinterpreted a toast. It wasn't a toast. It was rehearsed. Silence flickered across both their faces. My father shifted. He knew. Eleanor stepped closer to me. Families' close ranks. They don't air weaknesses. So I'm the weakness. That's not what I said. It's what you've always meant. Her jaw tightened. You've always taken things personally. And Christopher hasn't. This isn't about him. It's always about him. My father rubbed his temple. "Julia," I held up a hand. Calm, steady. "I saw the recording. I said, he planned it. You advised him." Eleanor's voice dropped lower. Controlled. "You're tearing this family apart." "No," I said. "I'm refusing my assigned role." That's dramatic. "No. It's overdue." Upstairs. A floorboard creaked. Lucas listening. My mother's eyes flicked toward the ceiling. "He's still a Whitmore." She said, "So am I." I answered. She looked at me like I'd breached a contract. "You're choosing pride over family." "I'm choosing my son." That stopped her. I opened the door. "He will not grow up thinking humiliation equals leadership," I said. "That's not negotiable." My father finally met my eyes. Really met them. He gave a small nod. Not approval. Not agreement. Recognition. Then they stepped outside. When the door closed, the silence that followed didn't feel empty. It felt earned. Weeks passed. No apology. No dramatic confrontation. Just distance. I heard through my aunt that deposits were lost. Contracts untangled and retangled. $200,000 reduced to awkward conversations in conference rooms. Christopher never called. That surprised me more than the silence. One afternoon, Lucas came home holding a folded piece of construction paper. "It's homework," he said. We had to draw our family crest. He climbed onto the couch beside me, knees tucked under him. I opened it. 2 stick figures, one tall, one small. A lighthouse between us. "What's the lighthouse?" I asked. "It keeps ships from crashing," he said. "That's what family does." I traced the crayon lines. "Who's in it? Us." He said, "Safe people. No grandparents, no uncles, no big white house drawn in the background. Just us." My phone buzzed on the table. "Christopher." Lucas saw the name. "Are you going to answer?" I watched it vibrate across the wood. "I don't know," I said. That was the truth. Not the strong version, just the real one. It's easy to say you've set boundaries. Harder when the person on the other side shares your childhood. "He's still your brother," Lucas said. "Yes," I answered. "And I'm still your mother." The phone kept ringing. I thought about the night of the wedding, about the moment he looked at me and expected me to agree, about how normal that used to feel. Sometimes loyalty is just fear wearing a nicer outfit. I let the call go to voicemail. Lucas leaned his head against my shoulder. "Are we still Whitmores?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "But we decide what that name means. I used to think strength was staying quiet so everyone else could stay comfortable. It isn't. Strength is letting a room fall silent when it needs to. I don't feel victorious. I don't feel finished. I feel steady. Christopher may call again. Maybe one day we'll talk differently. Maybe we won't. But Lucas will grow up knowing this love doesn't humiliate. Leadership doesn't belittle. And family doesn't require you to disappear. If you've ever been assigned a role that shrank you, you're allowed to step out of it. We did. And for now, that's enough."